Tonight, less than a year after its reboot, Come By Chance confirms it's considering shutting down. That story and
it can be damaging to human health.
Prostate cancer, kidney cancer, liver cancer, a whole host of health impacts.
Don't drink the tap water. Some Torbay residents are heading to court why their water is permanently polluted.
Syria is free now, and of course we're so happy that we share that in our second home.
We didn't get sleep like for this week, like 2 hours or 3 hours in the night. We just watching the news.
A fallen regime far away in Syria, news celebrated by those from the country now living in this province.
Now this is something I can get behind. Newfoundland Power customers in the Placentia area are soon going to be re-energized with a brand new $13 million transmission line. That story coming up.
This is CBC Here and Now.
Good evening and welcome to Here and Now. A group of Torbay residents have filed a class action lawsuit against Transport Canada. Their drinking water has been permanently contaminated with chemicals and they want something done about it. And soon, Here and Now's Heather Gillis reports.
For Eddie Shear and family, simply turning on the tap is terrifying these days. His well water in Torbay has tested positive for what's known as forever chemicals.
So the chemicals are called per and polyfluoroalkylated substances.
For decades, the foam was used in firefighting training at the nearby St. John's International Airport. Those chemicals seeped into the groundwater, migrating into wells. In January, Transport Canada tested more than 50 wells in this area. Shear's well was found to have more than 3 times the recommended level. Now, he's worried about his family's health.
They can lead to like thyroid issues, immunodeficiency issues, prostate cancer, kidney cancer, liver cancer, basically a whole host of health impacts that are not positive. One of my fears is that this could lead to detrimental effects to both Susan and I, and leaving the girls in a very vulnerable position way sooner than they need to be.
In May, Transport Canada started providing bottled water to those with polluted wells. Residents like Shear. He says they've been promised water filters too, but it's not a forever fix.
We don't want to be drinking this water, even if it's coming through a filter, because when it comes through a filter, you're still left with the same questions. Like, is it working today? Is it working well? Is it really taking this stuff out?
Along with his wife, he started a class action lawsuit alleging the federal government failed to remediate contaminated land at the airport. They say it's decreased the value of homes in this area, making them difficult to sell, and it's caused a lot of stress.
In my opinion, the only thing that is really going to permanently fix this is we need to be hooked up to a water supply, a clean water supply.
Hard to do, says Alex Templeton, the lawyer leading the class action lawsuit.
Hooking up to St. John's municipal water and sewer in that area, our understanding is that that's not a viable option.
Templeton says other nearby ponds are contaminated too and can't be used. Any fix for the 200 homes affected, he says, won't come cheap. Legal proceedings won't be quick.
So class actions are measured in years, not months or weeks, and so we're settling in for the long haul.
Meanwhile, Transport Canada says it is aware of the lawsuit that's been started by residents in this area. However, they say they won't comment while it's before the courts. Heather Gillis, CBC News, Torbay.
Well, there is ominous news out of Placentia Bay tonight, and it's a familiar storyline. The refinery in Come By Chance is in financial trouble again and is now facing a very uncertain future. Here Now's Terry Roberts broke this story earlier today and brings us the latest.
Word started to get out on Sunday, and today the company confirmed it after less than a year of production and what looked to be a new lease on life in the green energy sector. The refinery in Come By Chance may soon shut down, at least temporarily. Brea Renewable Fuels sent me a statement today, and it's all about money. The company is struggling with lower than normal margins and market disruptions caused by the pending expiration of $1 a gallon clean fuel production tax credits in the United States. So the company is considering what it's calling a temporary economic shutdown, That means stop making fuels until it's possible to make money. The company says it will make a decision on the shutdown in the coming days. If this occurs, the company says it will keep all of its 230 full-time employees on the payroll, though dozens of temporary workers have already received their layoff notices and will work their last shift on December 19th. It's a big reversal from all the optimism on display in April at this celebration, marking the 50-year history of the refinery and a new era, a $1.5 billion conversion into a producer of clean fuels, diesel made from animal fats and vegetable oil instead of crude oil.
Brea and Come By Chance are now a world leader in the energy transition.
The first shipment of 300,000 barrels was sent to the market in the spring. Production has been up and down ever since, around 15,000 barrels a day. But those lucrative tax incentives in the U.S. are set to expire at the end of this month. Now there's a big lobby to extend them in order to make these clean fuels affordable and reduce carbon emissions. And there's even talk that the Canadian government will introduce similar incentives here. But that's not doing much right now to calm the nerves at the refinery.
It's devastating news. Here we go again. 2020, we shut down, and now we're going through the same thing. The anxiety's up, stress is up, especially with Christmas coming.
If this shutdown proceeds, the company says the refinery will be maintained in a quick restart mode. Terry Roberts, CBC News, St. John's.
Well, in other economic news, two staples of the St. John's retail scene, Wink and the Newfoundland Weavery, are permanently closing their doors. Wink has already shut down. The business first opened on Duckworth Street 15 years ago and then shifted to Water Street before moving to Churchill Square. It will sell off its remaining stock from the Newfoundland Weavery on Water Street. Now, owner Kim Padden says she doesn't know exactly when the Weavery will turn off its lights for good, but the 52-year-old business will close in the near future. Padden says after 15 years of operating both stores, she doesn't see a future because of factors like online shopping, freight costs, and changing foot traffic.
Obviously, the past over 5 years have been a challenge. We had Snowmageddon, we had COVID, all of those factors that came into play. And I mean, as a business owner in Newfoundland and Labrador, you can only differentiate yourself so many times and pivot and move and change and all of those things. But being in retail myself for 15 years, I mean, you definitely, you can see the change, and it's been a slow change, but the change is just not going in the direction of a brick and mortar retail store. It just doesn't look good.
And staying in St. John's, members of the local Syrian community are celebrating the fall of President Bashar al-Assad, ending his family's brutal regime, which lasted more than 50 years. Here Now's Jessica Singer has more on what it could mean for the future of Syrian families here in this province.
Waving flags, dancing, cheering. Syrian President Bashar al-Assad's decades-long rule is over. And for the Syrian community in St. John's, that's cause for celebration.
Al-Assad is gone finally, and Syria is free now. And of course, we're so happy that we share that in our second home here.
Hundreds gathered at Colonial Building on Sunday to commemorate the end of the 50-year Assad regime, including Safa Tomi. She's lived here for about 10 years after fleeing Syria as a refugee during the civil war. She never expected to wake up to this news.
We didn't get sleep for this week, 2 hours or 3 hours in the night. We just watching the news. And it's really fast and really quick.
Syrian opposition fighters took control of Damascus Sunday morning, announcing the country has been liberated from al-Assad. The former president has been granted asylum in Russia. Here in St. John's, Safa's son Sleeman is excited to finally visit his grandparents. He says about 14 of their family members have been missing for years, likely in jail. Tens of thousands of Syrians have disappeared since the conflict began in 2011, some even earlier than that. Rebel forces are now liberating those political prisoners. Sleeman and Safa still don't know the whereabouts of their family members or if they're even alive. All they can do is hope.
They're not being oppressed anymore by the government. The government back home, He was keeping everyone captive. He didn't let any, like, freedom was a big no. A 17-year-old would have to serve military for 8 years.
And while there is hope, there is also fear. Uncertainty over who will take control next and what the nearby war in Israel and Palestine might mean for Syria.
I'm worried to be like Palestine. I'm worried to be Syria like Palestine. Yeah, that's what our worry.
Sleeman's in his last year of high school. He says he and his mother will stay in Newfoundland, the place they now call home. But they're looking towards the future, to a trip back to Syria to see the country and the family they left behind. Something they hope will be easier now that a dictator is out of power. Jessica Singer, CBC News, St. John's.
So here's what we've gathered from talking to local residents.
I spoke with a renter who's facing eviction this fall.
It is not for the weak of stomachs.
What does it mean for you to be able to give that advice and to know that you've helped?
Don't look down.
If this is something that you didn't know about, let me tell you.
Heather Gillis, CBC News, Happy Valley Goose Bay.
St. John's.
Corner Brook.
Shaji, Inuk First Nation.
Grand Falls, Windsor.
New West Valley, Newfoundland and Labrador.
Well, police are looking for the public's help after a vehicle struck a woman in the center of St. John's. It happened Friday evening just before 5 o'clock when a pedestrian was knocked down on Crosby Road between Empire Avenue and Portia Place. The woman was taken to hospital with injuries. Police are looking for any witnesses, dash cam footage or CCTV footage of the area at the time of the event. And anyone with information is asked to contact the RNC or remain anonymous through Crime Stoppers. And in other news, Ron Young, a promoter of local culture and creator and editor of the Down Home magazine, has died.
We had so many readers that weren't Newfoundlanders that loved the paper. We decided to devote a page to them.
Well, that's Young speaking with the CBC back in 1995 from aboard a Newfoundland cruise boat in Toronto. Young founded the magazine in 1988 while he was living in Ontario and working as a police officer. Its original motto was serving Newfoundlanders wherever they may be. Young, who's originally from Twillingate, eventually moved home, bringing the magazine back with him. He was 80 years old. And a doctor from this province has been elected as the nominee for the Canadian Medical Association's next president-elect. Dr. Bolu Ogunyemi is a professor of medicine at Memorial University. He also practices medical dermatology. Pending approval at the association's annual general meeting in May, Ogunyemi will serve as president-elect until May 2026, when he will become president for a one-year term. The president of the CMA is elected by members from a different province or territory every year and acts as the primary spokesperson for the association. Well, after a delay due to wintry weather, our colleagues at CBC Radio's Labrador Morning launched their annual turkey drive today in Happy Valley Goose Bay. It's all part of our Make the Season Kind campaign, which is in support of the Community Food Sharing Association and local food banks across the province. And they're not just accepting turkeys, but cash donations as well. You can head to cbc.ca/NL to learn more.
Well, it certainly had much better weather up across Labrador for their turkey drive this morning, but we did have we had an area of low pressure affecting most of the province today, bringing very windy conditions this morning. St. John's topped out at about 104 km/h winds. Again, another round of rain. That has since ended, and we've got some much colder air. Ridge of high pressure to the west. That is definitely going to bring in some cold air tonight up across Labrador and continue really as we head through at least the next couple of days. Our daytime highs today topping out at about -15 in west. Areas seeing temperatures in the single digits. Another warm up on the way midweek. We'll get into all the details coming up.
A new $13 million transmission line is being built to deliver electricity to 3,400 Newfoundland Power customers in the Placentia area. And this one is being built to withstand all the snow, wind, and rain that Mother Nature can throw at it. The final utility poles planted in the ground last week. More than 400 of them, holding up a 43-kilometer transmission line from Blaketown to Placentia, capable of delivering 80% more electricity to the businesses and homes along the eastern shores of Placentia Bay, including the growing Port of Argentia.
Our transmission lines, our substations, our equipment in this area has the capacity now to serve customers in this area for many, many decades to come.
Much of the new line was built parallel with the Placentia Highway. That means easier access for repair crews, and will replace a deteriorating line built more than a half-century ago, which is increasingly difficult to maintain and hard to access. The risk of more frequent and extended unplanned outages was increasing.
So this is the amount of deterioration we were seeing on this line. Our crews in the area were starting to get a little concerned about, is it becoming safe to climb anymore if they need to make repairs? So it was clear to us that this was the time that this line needed to be replaced.
The investment also includes this higher capacity substation at Dunnville. At its heart is a 25-megawatt power transformer, more than 3 times the capacity of the old, worn-out transformer.
It was right at its capacity based on the growth that we've seen in this area.
Officials with the town of Placentia are welcoming the new infrastructure, saying it will improve reliability and offer one more reason for businesses to invest in the area, especially the Port of Argentia.
They always have big demands for electricity. They have a large industrial park. Obviously gives the opportunity now to be able to say, come build here. We have the electricity, we have the land.
When Newfoundland Power invests in equipment like this, it recovers its costs through higher rates from utility customers. But this utility executive says rate increases will be negligible.
So that $13 million is actually collected through customer rates over the 60-year life of these assets. So it's not collected all at once.
This new line will be energized in the coming days and will require an outage of up to 6 hours. The payoff will be a more reliable and enhanced connection to the province's power grid. Terry Roberts, CBC News, Placentia.
Well, Memorial University's Faculty Association is reacting to the hiring freeze MUN announced late Friday. The post-secondary institution says it's restricting new hires to deal with a $9.5 million shortfall from a drop in enrollment. But MUNFA says that drop isn't the only problem.
There's a lot of fear and anxiety at the university this weekend. A lot of people sitting at home this weekend wondering if they have a job going forward. The president has rolled out a plan to make a smaller, different kind of university. What's going to be cut? What aren't we going to be doing going forward? Who's going to lose their jobs? No idea. There's no plan behind this. This is just an announcement that the university's in a mess and they're going to radically reshape the university.
Like many universities across the country, Memorial University is facing the challenges of constrained budgets, lower international enrollment, and increasing fixed costs.
Bad things are coming. That's basically the message. And to sort of bury the cause, to sort of lay cover as to why we're in this mess in the first place. The reason that the university increased tuition fees in an unprecedented way that was a huge shock to students, which has forced a lot of students to stop taking courses, which is why enrollments go down, is because of budget cuts to the university, right? The two things are related. We need to bring this conversation back to the central point, which is the premier broke the university. The university has been cut by the provincial government to the extent to which it can no longer continue to do things that it used to do. And we really need the premier to come back to the table and engage in a conversation about what the future of the university is.
We're gonna start by making some noise!
Well, spirits were high in Bowring Park over the weekend, where mummers of all ages came together for their annual festival of dress up, song, and dance.
Your dealer for details.
Well, Ashley, some people out there may have noticed it got darker just a little bit earlier than usual today, right?
It certainly did. Well, normal, I guess, but this time of year, it's the earliest sunset that we will see of the season. So we've made it. At least there's that. Let's take a look at the numbers from today. So the sunset today at 4:09 p.m. here in St. John's. But the thing is, our day is still we're seeing about 8 hours and 32 minutes of daylight at the moment. But as we head towards December 21st, which is the shortest day of the year, we'll be seeing 8 hours and 25 minutes of daylight. And our sunset, though, will be around 4:12. So although the last couple of days and today, we're seeing that sunset around 4:09, our shortest day really isn't until December 1st. But the good news is after that, then we start to gain time as we head into the beginning of January, which is really lovely, and I'm sure all of us are looking forward to that. We dealt with another system again, seeing some winds gusting into the hundreds of kilometers per hour, so 104 for St. John's this morning. The Wreck House area saw a wind gust around 111 kilometers per hour, but those winds have since ended. It's still quite breezy, though, up across parts of Labrador, 56 kilometers per hour right now in Cartwright. And as we head through the night, we're going to continue to see these winter storm conditions in play. So pretty much from Cartwright down through to the Strait, you're either in a wind warning or a winter storm warning. Then we've got a blowing snow advisory for Eagle River. And again, that's because of this area of low pressure. We can just take a look at the cameras, and you can see the winds certainly blowing up around Cartwright. Now, the West Coast seeing some snow right now as well by way of onshore flurries, which we've been seeing through the weekend. The good news is as we head through tonight, we're actually going to see that let up a little bit, especially for those of you on the West Coast. Going to continue to see those winter storm conditions as we head through midnight, and then eventually that should taper off as we get towards the early morning hours. Most of us will be sitting under a ridge of high pressure by the time we get into tomorrow morning, hence why those flurries, onshore flurries, should end. And it's going to be a beautiful start to tomorrow, but it's going to be a chilly night for tonight. We're looking at overnight lows sitting somewhere between -3 and -9 across the island. Much colder air up across Labrador. -28 will be the overnight low in Lab City tonight. And then as you head towards the coast, still hanging on to some of that milder air, relatively speaking, around -7. So expect another 5 to 10 centimeters for around the Cartwright area. West Coast in these flurries, maybe another 2 to 5 by the time you get into tomorrow morning. And then we've got some more snow moving in, and that will be the case for Lab West. And that will be later on in tomorrow, which you could pick up between about 2 to 5 centimeters more than likely. Other than that, clouds will be on the increase tomorrow, so it should be a beautiful afternoon for most of us, other than the flurry activity towards, well, really the coast, mid-coast of Labrador and Lab West. And then we see our next weather maker move in, which will start a little bit messy as we head into Wednesday morning. Daytime highs tomorrow will be on the chilly side, but still pretty decent with some sunshine in the mix as well. Winds will be a bit breezy in the morning out of the northwest, but they should ease as the day goes on. Between 0 or a little bit below for the east. A little bit cooler, though, for those of you in the northern peninsula, somewhere between -5 and -7. And then again, hanging on to some chilly air, especially in Lab West, -12. Same thing for Happy Valley Goose Bay. You head towards the coast, so those temperatures will be sitting in the minus single digits. Mid-coast, you may see a few flurries. Now, this will be some of the coldest air that we see, at least the beginning of the week, because by the time we get into midweek, a big warm-up on the way as we see our next area of low pressure move in. Some of us could be talking about temperatures in the low teens. I'll get into all the details coming up.
All right, thank you so much, Ashley. And hark, what's that noise on the streets of St. John's? The annual Mummers Parade was underway this weekend, and forget 20 or more, there were dozens of people dressed up for the occasion. The CBC's Julia Israel got a crash course in the tradition.
Hark, what's the noise? Celebrate a Ford store. Brand new gas mummers, there's plenty of.
No way, this is your first Mummers Parade. Oh my goodness, you're going to have a fun day today. It's a tradition here in Newfoundland. Every year people are going around door to door dressed up in the smaller community, knocking on the door, and the owners have to guess who they are. If they don't, well, give them a drink and on to the next house. So although we're here today, we're celebrating here in the Bowring Park.
We're going to start by making some noise!
So we are having our rig up right now, so it's where you put on any sort of clothing, disguise yourself. So we have some pants at the bottom all the way to the face coverings at the top. But yeah, people are welcome to drop down, take any clothes that they want, throw it on for the parade, and yeah, rig up and get ready and come join us.
What is the attire? Explain me the look.
Oh, it's just a bit of this and a bit of that. Yeah. We had to have the pillowcase, and everything else was just decided upon in the last couple of hours.
So this is Nan, and Nan is today she's going around just getting the donations for the Mummers Festival so we can continue doing our fun things.
How come you're not dressed up yet? You should. So first you got picked up with a skirt.
Is this for yours? What's going on?
Set the arm.
Right over the neck.
Well,
all right. Traditional mummer wear. I'm so excited. Excellent.
And that's your disguise.
And that's it.
In 3, 2, 1. Any mummers allowed in.
Awesome. Thank you for dressing me up.
Yeah, well, you look good.
Well, St. John's is losing 2 more businesses, Wink in Churchill Square and the Newfoundland Weavery here on Water Street, which has been operating in St. John's for over 50 years. We'll speak with the owner coming up.
Festive fishing boats, our seasonal story from Port de Grave. Watch Gift of Light Sunday at 11:30 and Monday at 7.
Well, two well-known St. John's businesses are about to close for good. The Newfoundland Weavery here on Water Street and Wink in Churchill Square. The Newfoundland Weavery has been in operation for over 50 years in the downtown, and Wink has been around for 15 years. And joining me now is the owner of both Wink and the Newfoundland Weavery, Kim Padden. So this is a huge change for you. Can you tell us what happened? Why did you decide to close both your businesses?
Well, there's obviously many factors into play. Just our economic environment and what's happening, and it just is not a retail business like this just cannot sustain itself.
Can you give us more details about that, like more specifics? What has been the issue for you?
So obviously the past over 5 years have been a challenge. We had Snowmageddon, we had COVID, all of those factors that came into play. And I mean, as a business owner in Newfoundland and Labrador, you can only differentiate yourself so many times and pivot and move and change and all of those things. But being in retail myself for 15 years, I mean, you definitely, you can see the change, and it's been a slow change, but the change is just not going in the direction of a brick and mortar retail store. It just doesn't look good. So we've had lots of factors. I mean, customer behavior has changed, foot traffic has changed, you know, the big online shopping websites that definitely affect. So there's lots of different factors, but the big one is just our economic environment, our climate that we live in today. It's just.
Yeah, so is it hard to compete, I guess, with online shopping in particular?
Oh my goodness,
right?
yes. Yeah, it's definitely really hard. And, you know, even for Wink, we've put a lot of time and a lot of effort into our online store. It was massively successful during COVID, but you can't compete with free shipping, $1 shipping, $3 shipping, and not only that, from the other side of things as being a business owner of the products that we bring in. I mean, there's been inflation, prices gone up, our freight has come up, you know, so there's lots of different factors from different sides of it. Yeah.
And what has the reaction been like? Because this is something that you just announced. What are you hearing from customers and just the general public so far?
Yeah, so we announced this morning. I hit post this morning at 8 a.m. and the amount of messages, phone calls, emails, the love, the support has been just so heartwarming, and it just makes you realize, you know, these two stores have touched so many people, and it warms my heart. So I really hope everybody can come down now in the next little while and get, you know, their last Newfoundland Weavery ornament or a Wink piece of jewelry.
Yeah, so you're kind of combining both of these businesses for this last little bit.
Yes.
What are your plans for that?
Yeah, so all of the Wink inventory is here at the Newfoundland Weavery. So over the coming weeks, we are going to be having I'm calling it an end of an era sale, not a liquidation sale. We are celebrating the Newfoundland Weavery and Wink. So over the coming weeks, we will be having our sale. So.
And you mentioned in your post that you're doing this with mixed emotions, which suggests there's negative and positive mixed in there. Can you explain that?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely mixed emotions. Like you can imagine, I am a young entrepreneur. I started Wink when I was 20 years old. We started on Duckworth Street. It was 300 square feet, you know, so to see that gradual growth and what I've accomplished, you know, I'm sad. I'm so sad. That's the only thing I can say. But then I also have so much joy and happiness of what we were able to create. And a big one too is my staff, and you know, the people that I've mentored over the years, you know, has been really, really impactful for me.
Both of these locations are both gift buying destinations, but very different. One is very classic, the other is trendier. Can you talk about the styles?
Yeah, so we always joke, myself and the staff, that, you know, Wink is the teenager and Newfoundland Weavery is the mom. So, you know, a little bit different type of product, but there are lots of similar product that we have in store. But, you know, Wink is the little rebel, and Weavery has some of the more traditional giftware.
So what's next now? You have the inventory from Wink in-house. You're going to bring that up and put it on the floor. How much longer will this location remain open?
The date is unknown. So we're obviously going to be having our end of an era sale. So we'll be selling off our inventory. So there is no date. It's not like we're going to have a hard close at December 24th. So, you know, who knows how long that will be. It might be till the end of January, mid-January. I don't know. Yeah.
Right, and what's next for you?
I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, I do own the carpet factory with my brother and my husband. So, you know, that definitely keeps me busy. It's a completely different industry, lots of fun. So I'll definitely add my sparkle there more than I have in the past couple of years. And then who knows? I don't know. Something fun.
Well, after over 50 years, it is definitely the end of an era here at the Newfoundland and Labrador, and Wink was also such a staple.
Yeah.
Kim Padden, thank you so much, and good luck with it.
Thank you. Thanks.
Earlier, we shared how members of the Syrian community are celebrating the fall of a dictator. The Assad government came down over the weekend. The regime quickly fell on Sunday with a rebel group taking control of the capital city of Damascus, effectively ending the Assad family's 50-year rule. You saw earlier how the Syrian community here in St. John's celebrated the news yesterday, and similarly, the CEO and founder of the Nova Scotia-based Peace by Chocolate is feeling a renewed sense of hope.
When our family and we arrived in Canada, we carried with us the weight of pain and loss, but we also brought with us a sense of belief that brighter days are ahead. They lie ahead. They are always actually ahead of us. Now, as Syria starts to build a new chapter, we dream of a future that, you know, where fear is gone, where families can thrive and where children can dream without limits, and where every piece of the country's shattered past comes together to build something very stronger. So I'm extremely excited about the future, and I'm praying for stability and praying for peace for my home country.
And as the international community waits to see what happens next, the citizens of Syria are trying to put their lives back together after more than a decade of civil war. The CBC's Chris Brown reports.
On the first day of Syria's New Start, the notorious Sednaya prison that epitomized the worst of Bashar al-Assad's regime was the scene of desperate searches. In 2014, they told me then that my brother was dead and not to come back, she said. But anguished families clung to faint hope of rumors of secret rooms where their loved ones might have survived. On Sunday, a mob freed those who were caged in tiny, filthy cells. The White Helmets humanitarian workers have helped with the ongoing search, but a volunteer member says sadly for those families, they have found no further prisoners.
The team are working on digging and cracking the walls. Maybe they have something to see and listen, but until now we don't have proof that they are alive and there are people inside.
In the capital, after the initial euphoria, bakeries reopened. There were lines for fuel and for many also a strange new sense of freedom. It's been 50 years during which we couldn't speak nor express ourselves, he said. In the streets, rebels with guns, many of whom used to support al-Qaeda, mixed with civilians with few reports of trouble. Abu Muhammad al-Jolani, the commander whose assault on Aleppo 12 days ago triggered the beginning of Assad's demise, reportedly appointed interim officials to run the government. Now we need to be patient, said this man. The country's not going to get better immediately. In an ominous sign, there's been fighting between Turkish-backed forces and U.S.-backed Kurds, underscoring the unity challenges facing Syria's new rulers. Israeli troops also seized and are now occupying Syrian territory in the Golan Heights, violating a long-standing ceasefire agreement. Israel's government says the move will protect it from hostile forces. Britain's government is one of the first to say it's considering delisting al-Jolani's Hayat Tahrir al-Sham as a terror group, possibly removing a key obstacle for dealing with the new Syrian administration. A cabinet minister says the decision will be based on how the group behaves. Chris Brown, CBC News, London.
Police in the United States have made an arrest in connection with the killing of a health insurance company CEO. The executive was shot to death on a Manhattan street 5 days ago. Earlier today, police arrested a 26-year-old suspect in Pennsylvania.
Officers recovered a firearm on his person, as well as a suppressor, both consistent with the weapon used in the murder.
The suspect has been identified as Luigi Mangione, a McDonald's employee who recognized the suspect from photos called police. Along with the gun, Mangione was carrying a number of fake IDs, a U.S. passport, and a handwritten manifesto. He's facing weapons charges.
Details.
Hi, I'm Rick Mercer with the offer of a lifetime and a very big ask. In less than a year, the 2025 Canada Games are coming to Newfoundland and Labrador, and that means we've got company coming, big time. The numbers are mind-boggling. This coming August, 25,000 people from all across Canada are going to descend on this province for the games, and every single one of them can't wait to get here. They've heard good things, so we need to ensure they have the time of their life, the games of their life. As a province, we've got to knock this one out of the park. So here's the ask. We need you to represent Team Newfoundland and Labrador at the games. We need 5,000 volunteers. All ages, all skills. You would not believe the jobs that need to be filled, the experience you will get, the friends you will make. To make these games work, there are so many moving pieces, but the most important piece, the final piece, the mission critical piece is you. Visit the website, join the team.
Earlier in the show, we reported that Ron Young has died at the age of 80. He was the editor and founder of the Down Home magazine. Young first created the publication to bring Newfoundlanders living away a taste of home. And for nearly a decade, he did that from Ontario before making a move back to Newfoundland in the mid-90s. So we're dipping into the archives to bring you this look back from the CBC's Otso Resori.
Ron Young is like many Newfoundlanders who went to work on the mainland but always knew that he would be back someday. Well, 34 years later, he's recently retired from the Toronto Police Force and back. And with him comes the magazine he started in Brampton, Ontario, close to 9 years ago.
My first motto was serving Newfoundlanders wherever they may be, which of course meant all over the world, except Newfoundland. The paper is very popular in Newfoundland itself, and very popular among non-Newfoundland readers, many of whom have never been to Newfoundland yet.
For all these years, the Down Homer has been an unabashed celebration of exile. The fact that it was born in exile itself added to its mystique. In its pages, Newfoundland comes to life like a supercharged memory. So, isn't bringing it home a sort of betrayal?
Well, I think Newfoundlanders, when they leave home, they never leave home for good. I came back, but I think that's every Newfoundlander's dream, to come back, and they envy me that I'm back here. And in fact, this paper can be done anywhere. I mean, we're sold all over the world. We could be published out of England, for that matter, or Texas, you know, or anywhere. No, it didn't have to be Toronto, it could be anywhere. And why not here?
All these years, Young's managing editor has been his wife, Sandra, a Newfoundlander herself. She will always remember exile with a certain nostalgia of its own, but there's no place like home.
All the years I was there, I wanted to be here, so next time it'll be just for a visit.
Until they move to their own address in downtown St. John's, they're shacked up on a cramped third floor above a convenience store. But their website is spick and span and keeps filling with homesick email. Otso Resori, CBC News, St. John's.
Wow, just looking at the date of that story, it's just like a couple of days from now, 28 years ago.
That's incredible.
Yeah, what an impact the Down Homer has made, for sure. Okay, so we're going to have a look at the long-range forecast. How are things looking as we get later into the week?
Warm, definitely. We've got a next system coming up the pipe now for most of us. In fact, it's going to start a little more wintry, though, across Labrador. Let's take a look at what's going on. So Tuesday evening and into Wednesday, we're going to see that snow move in across the Big Land. Now, things are going to be a little messy across the island. Nothing too crazy, but we may see, depending on the temperatures, a little bit of freezing rain to start, but that is going to change very quickly as we head into the afternoon as some milder air moves in, bringing, the chance of showers for most of us through the day on Wednesday. Nothing too significant, but still the chance of showers. We will see some potentially significant snow up across Labrador, 10, 15, maybe more centimeters through the day. Temperatures will stay on the cool side for Labrador, but warming up. So back into the single digits, minus single digits, I should say, up across Labrador, and then take a look at the temperatures across the island. So we're back up between 5 to 9 degrees through the day. Now, the northern peninsula will hang on to some cooler air for at least the first part of the day. Things will change, though, as we head into Thursday, as this system tracks north and brings in a lot more milder air, and it will be the story right across the province as we head into Thursday. So Lab West through central areas of Labrador, the northern portion of Labrador, that will hang on at least for the first part of the day, again, into some of that cooler air. But overall, daytime highs will be well above zero for most of Labrador. This is well above where you should be sitting this time of year. 13 degrees potentially for Happy Valley, Goose Bay, 9 for Lab City. Also going to bring some windy conditions with it as well. So pretty much any snow that's on the ground will take a hit, that's for sure. And then across the island, temperatures will sit between 8 to 13 degrees through the day as well. West Coast looking a little windy, and some periods of rain will be the story. So take a look at the temperatures as we head into Friday. Going to continue to hang on to 8 degrees. Now, by the time we get into Saturday, things are going to turn much colder with the chance of a few flurries, but nothing really significant. West Coast, though, you know what that means. We'll likely see some onshore flurry activity for Friday and Saturday after a windy Thursday, windy and rainy Thursday. Central Newfoundland will see showers continue as well. By Saturday, looking pretty decent, though. There's that big warm up and right back down Friday and Saturday. Still going to be windy, though. That will be the story for Western Labrador as well as your temperatures dip back down. Our weather photo of the day, it has been very snowy on the West Coast.
Oh my goodness.
And Debbie shared this photo with us. Thanks for that. If you have any weather photos you'd like to share with us, send them to nlphotos@cbc.ca.
Wow, what a difference between the west and the east on the island.
Very different.
Yeah, and double-digit temperatures on Thursday, mid-December.
We are on a roller coaster.
For sure, especially eastern Labrador.
That's right. That's a huge warm up.
Yeah, real roller coaster for sure.
Definitely.
All right, well, that's it for us. Thank you so much for spending part of your evening with us.
Good night.